So you've come up with a bunch of ideas. Hopefully your brainstorming was successful and you've got lots of options of the kinds of topics and subjects you might like to look into for your extended essay. We're now going to narrow it a little bit and we're going to pick one of those to analyze. So take a minute, look through those ideas you've put into your ideas space, and then select one that you think has some promise, okay? It doesn't have to be one that your final essay is going to be on, okay? If you're not feeling sure about any of them, that's okay. Just pick one you think, it's worth looking into a little bit further. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at how we might analyze those options a little bit deeper. So on the right-hand side of your worksheet, you have a space with some analysis prompts. I want you to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes working through each of the questions. The goal here is to not to have a perfect response. You can use bullet points, you can use shorthand. I don't need to see full sentences. This really is a space for you to just dig into the question, to start to see if there's something there for you to work with, or maybe to cross out an idea and go back to the ideas space, all right? So there are 5 prompts that I want you to tackle, and I'm just going to go through them briefly. Some of them are clearer or more obvious than others. And I just want to make sure you understand what each prompt is asking for. So the first one is pretty straightforward. Why are you interested in this topic? The challenge with the first question is to be really honest with yourself. Now, nobody is going to read this worksheet except for you. But I want you to remember that why you're interested in this topic is part of what you have to put into your proposal. So if you're struggling to come up with an answer, there's your first clue that perhaps this isn't a topic that's for you. The second question, why would other people be interested in this topic, is really asking you to query the value of the information you would gain if you did the research. So let's say that you've come up with a research question about how long the average iPhone case will last, okay? Now, if I'm asking myself, what is the value of that information to other people? I'm asking, if I find out that it lasts 2 months or it lasts a year, why do other people care? Well, they're going to care because they might spend money on it. They're going to care because it might be a decision between that and another product. There is value in knowing that information. You're going to do the same thing for this topic because part of your introduction in your essay is to identify to the marker, to the reader, why your research question has value. Why is it worth investigating? If you can't come up with why other people might be interested, perhaps it's not very interesting. So that's 1 and 2. Now let's talk about 3. 3 should just be a super quick brain dump of what do you know about the topic. This is not the space for you to go away and do a ton of research. Just off the top of your head, what do you know? Okay, what theory do you know? What information have you already perhaps read? And if you don't know very much, that's okay, leave it blank. It's good to have a bit of a visual about, actually, I'm interested, but I know nothing. That's okay, it's not a deal breaker, but be honest about it. Question 4 is all about the research method. So if you were to investigate this topic, what would the research look like? Is it going to be primary research that you collect yourself? Is it going to be secondary research that you can use academic journals online for? If it's primary research, what form is that primary research going to take? Is it going to be observation? Is it going to be surveys? Is it going to be interviews? Maybe it's still viable, okay? Which leads me to question 5, and that's, is there much secondary research available on this topic? Now, for this question, you can do a bit of quick Googling, okay? The idea here is to, now that you've sort of established if the topic is even relevant, is to see if the data is there. I know some of you have already started thinking about questions about all sorts of really current issues. COVID is a popular theme, but remember, the more current it is, the newer it is, particularly the newer the science, for example, so vaccines, things like that, the harder it is going to be to get the secondary data you need to support your arguments. Okay, so you need to know what is already out there. But the flip side of that is that if tons of it is already out there and everybody already agrees on an answer, is there anything left to investigate? Okay, so while you may not spend an enormous amount of time doing step 5 today, when you do eventually start coming up with, your really genuine questions and ideas, make sure you spend a bit of time on question 5, reviewing it. What is out there? What information exists for you to access? So I'm going to stop talking and let you get started with those analysis prompts. You've got about 15 minutes. Off you go.